tell me a little bit about your background. So, how did, from kind of early days and then into agency, starting your own
Yeah.
agency, what was that path? Like how did you get there and what made you decide like that's what I want to do?
Yeah. So I had started on the retail side in the luxury market in Canada, the luxury fashion market, with a retailer called Holt Renfrew. I was actually working at Holt Renfrew as a student within, the retail space, but then had transitioned over into the head office space and started working on marketing campaigns there. I knew from the get-go that although I had studied accounting and later went on to do business strategy for my MBA, that marketing was really my sweet spot. I was also like, I have always been very, very interested in tech, innovation, new developments, new ways of reaching folks, and new communities. So I kind of fell into really honing in different marketing skills across the digital landscape, and integrated as well. So yeah, started out with Holt Renfrew, skipped over from being a student in retail to graduating into the head office and really working through email campaigns, opening up what was scary and interesting at this time, something called Facebook, opening that up for the brand. And so really started my foray into new channels and, social and digital uh, places for people to connect, as opposed to what was traditional catalog or in store with retailers. Um, so that's where I started. I then joined a management consulting firm where we did digitization across multiple industries. So mostly the banking industry, the insurance industry. I'm Canadian, and so the equivalent to Wall Street in Canada is Bay Street in Toronto, and at a smaller level, of course, but worked for a slew of banks on Bay Street in Canada, helping them really digitize their processes instead of coming into a bank to see a teller. I worked on programs and softwares and even change management within the org, to help banks, insurance companies, and whatnot get to places where, instead of that bank teller check in person, you can now download it on your phone. And it was really the foray and start of transitioning to a digital space for this very, very historical, or sorry, not historical, archaic type of system, which was banking. I thoroughly enjoyed it, but I knew that back from, Holt Renfrew, my passion truly was in luxury and fashion and lifestyle, even beauty. And we happened to have a client called Kerastase, which is part of the L'Oreal family, who was on with us. So I then came to a point in my career where it was a decision. Do I either take on Kerastase as a full-time client, or do I stay and do banking? And there's a lot of money to be done within management consulting within those industries, but obviously not being a passion. So knowing that, this was hitting home on marketing, on luxury, on just like the lifestyle that I enjoy marketing to folks too, I decided to take a leap. Take a chance, and start my own agency after the existing work that we had with Kerastase and really take them on holistically as a client. So that's when my agency days started. I had a business partner. She was ex-L'Oreal, came out and started our agency with me, so Avenue Digital. We ended up having contracts for 27 of the 32 L'Oreal Canada brands at the time. We did
Whoa.
everything from, like wireframing to PR events to, helping create email list campaigns, to everything from like graphic design and whatnot. So it was very holistic in terms of agency help. We had a slew of contractors at any given moment, right? We had hourly and contract workers, like between 20 and 25 folks working for the agency on these various accounts. We were also very lucky because there's some Montreal-based companies that are also global, that we caught the eye of. So we got an exclusive with Aldo Shoes, Call It
Hmm.
Spring. We were also doing Nestle Canada. So our very small and humble agency grew from this small account to multiple accounts at a company to multiple companies, with a worldwide reach. And again, all in the sphere of like fashion, beauty, lifestyle. Adidas as well as one of our clients. And that truly is where, I learned most of, like, I was learning as I was doing. I was learning from our contractors that we were bringing in. There might have been an expert in influencer marketing at the time, and so we brought that expert in who was freelancing, and we helped, you know, launch NYX Canada, or NYX Cosmetics in Canada, through UGC and influencer content. So yeah, I got really great accolades, learned as I was doing, but mostly also learned overarching strategy and how to look at marketing from an integrated manner, from a really 360 manner. So yeah, so a slew of clients. Absolutely loved our time in agency. We owned the agency for about 4.5 years. And then there was a bid for acquisition by one of our biggest clients. You can guess who. Just, you know, all our eggs being in the same basket, which was fine, right? We were a very small and scrappy startup that had, we did pride ourselves on full service marketing agency, and, you know, from A to Z, we were able to touch on multiple things for accounts we had. So it became clear that we were going to be, you know, acquired and come internally as their content studio at the time in Montreal. My business partner decided to go internally. I decided to not.
Yep.
It was actually, you know, we celebrate these as wins, and it's easy to see that these are wins with a few years in retrospect, but it was incredibly difficult for me, Connor. It was like my business, or my baby, was taken away from me at the time. So, you know, when you have a 50-50 partnership, tough decisions are made. So yeah, so all of a sudden I found myself, you know, really thinking, what are the next steps? What is it that I want to do? I did have NDAs in place specifically for the beauty industry in Canada. And so, you know, not long after the press releases came out, Sephora came knocking, and Sephora in the US, so my NDAs in Canada, you know, kind of were limited there. And so they asked me if I wanted to come to their head office in San Francisco, relocate, and really run their social media and influencer marketing team. It was a great idea, right? It kind of presented itself to me at the right time. I was available. I thought it would be great because I'm a huge fan of LVMH overall. And so Sephora being, you know, a great brand within the space that I had just spent, you know, like less than 5 years, but the larger part of like the 4.5 years really honing and deep diving in on. It was just a great opportunity. So relocated to San Francisco, was at the helm of the social media and influencer marketing team, did a lot of really great things, changed what was traditionally social to a social commerce platform, worked with, you know, Instagram and Facebook on all the alphas and betas at the time for direct shopping. Now that I'm saying it to you, it sounds like, oh yeah, everyone can click through and shop. But back then, this was like truly revolutionary. It was like, wait, you can shop directly off Instagram and not bounce back from link in bio to their page. So worked on really cool, neat projects, brought a lot of great innovation to the retailer. And of course, like worked with a tremendous team to do that. I did that for about 1.5 years. I was then promoted to be at the helm of campaigns and content. So integrated marketing for beauty. At Sephora, you have beauty, hair, skin. And so I was at the helm of everything beauty from an integrated manner. So what I had brought to the social and influencer team was truly bringing that to email, site, push notifications, in-store, display. So owning that holistically. I did that for about just under another 1.5 years. And being Canadian, I have always been on visas, and I'm just like, you know, I'm okay to be open about that now, because for anyone immigrating or for anyone, you know, not necessarily from the US, we do have to deal with visas, and it's hard. You can't be applying to jobs that, you know, you feel that you're qualified for, or you can't really outreach. But you're also limited into like the timing. And so there was a big leadership change at Sephora. Calvin McDonald, the CEO, left for Lululemon. He's Canadian, went back to Canada. And so, you know,
I'm surprised they've never drawn you in. Surprised you've never been recruited to Lulu, or maybe you have and you just haven't done it.
I mean, Vancouver is great, but we really love California. So there's some of that factoring into.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, with leadership changes, I followed a leader over to Dolby, because there's security in securing that visa situation. And all immigrants will relate here, or all visa holders will relate. And worked on building up the very first consumer marketing team at Dolby Laboratories. So Dolby is traditionally a B2B company, and this was the very first arm of B2C. So launching things like Dolby Soho and Experiential in New York, where we did things like launch of The Lion King, or launch of like a slew of different movies and activations that were in partnership with Dolby, and then also launched the very first consumer product, which was Dolby Dimension. So being at the helm of that was amazing. That again was on a contract. We also did a slew of things that, I guess I always bring this to the work I do, but partnered with Michael Kors for the Michael Kors launch, and Bella Hadid, and brought that to Dolby Soho. So there's a lot of interesting things in the work that we did there, but ultimately, a tech company in the B2B space, I knew that was not my forever home. I
Mm-hmm,
was
mm-hmm.
lucky enough to have another leader at Dolby, one of my peers, Bryna Corcoran, who went and left to go to Stitch Fix. And, again, being kind of limited by visas, like you can never really apply. But if someone's like, hey, I have this interesting offer for you, would you be interested? You would kind of go in that way. And so I entertained those conversations. I fell in love with Stitch Fix, fell in love with Katrina, the founder, and like the vision and all that. So decided to join Stitch Fix. Again, at the helm of what was more social influencer on earn, own, paid channels.
Yep.
So content marketing in that realm, and created things like an ambassador program. Right, it was kind of mind-boggling in the sense that Stitch Fix has about 2,000 stylists in the country, so in the U.S. itself, and they hadn't tapped into them for influencer marketing, content marketing, anything outside of their day-to-day job. And so, really came
Well,
in and
and
created that
I would
program.
imagine I would imagine that those people are super passionate about fashion too, right? Like that's why they took the job. And so they're
Super,
probably, yeah.
yeah, super passionate, to your point, hyper knowledgeable too. So if you're going to do lives, or if you're going to do consultations or anything like that, like these are the right people to speak to. So just a great opportunity for content creation and for ambassadors of the brand, really. So I was really proud on launching that and having it still thriving today, obviously. But yeah, back to kind of my origin story of, being on a visa and kind of following these opportunities that presented to themselves. I transparently got my green card just at the top of this year. So just as of January, and well, end of December, beginning of January. And for the first time in, a really long time, I want to say over a decade, I was finally able to say, actually, this is where I want to work. This is the company I want to work for. This
Mm-hmm.
is the mandate. I want to join a purpose-led organization that has a very, very strong mission. And also, does good in the world, right? There's Alo Gives, which is a huge charitable component. And so I was able to, for the first time in a really long time in my career, kind of own my destiny and apply out for a job that I wanted. Alo came to me, but this was something that I like actively pursued. And I
Yep.
didn't have to worry about visas, and I didn't have to worry about any of that. But it's just such an incredible brand. It's, one of the, to your points on stats earlier, one of the hottest brands in the world. And we're still small and nimble. We're US
Yeah.
based primarily when you look at our retail footprint. Obviously, we ship globally, but just such an incredible opportunity to come at a brand which is in hyper growth mode. So yeah, very exciting for me to be at the helm of marketing for Alo Yoga.